Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. My name is Lawrence Laddie. I am the host of Financial Independence Through Small Multifamily Investing. I'm here in New York City, in the Bronx. I have 6 units here in the Bronx. I'm looking to scale up this year. I want to scale up. I want to do better than I did last year, right? And I'm part of the Myers Methods cohort. I'm also part of the GOB network. And without further ado, I'm going to talk about my guest, our special guest, Julie Holly. Julie is a podcast host on The Conscious Investor. She's also founder of 3 Keys Investment. And I met Julie on the other part. This is the third thing she does. She is the, she is the host and moderator of the Wednesday book club, right? So if you don't know about that, get with it. And Julie, once again, I want to say thank you for coming. I appreciate you. I'm very anxious to hear what you have to say because I know it's going to be on fire. So Julie, thank you again.
I am so excited to be here. But you know what, Lawrence, I'm going to get into that book club thing. So y'all, so many of you, thanks for coming out. I am Julie Holly, and I'm super excited to be here, but it's not about me, it's about you. So we're all here to level up. We're just going to dive into information like right this second. My company is 3 Keys Investments, which means I have an affinity for the number 3. It's very important to me. I don't know, everybody, drop your favorite number in the chat, please, because I'm just curious. Everybody has one. I don't care if it's like something with like tons of zeros, but I would like to see like everybody's favorite. See 3, 11, 5, 7, 25. I rarely see double digits, so I don't know. That's pretty cool. I like the uniqueness of that. Lawrence, I have permission to share my screen, correct? Or if I can't get permission real fast. Yes. So what I'm going to do is I want to give you guys just like this super brief overview of 3 really important things. And then I want to dive deep because it's one thing to like skim the surface of something, but I really want you guys to internalize something that's absolutely 1,000,000% changed my life in the last 2 years. And I know it will change your life. I know it's changed a lot of lives in this room already. And I'm not going to spoil it, but Lawrence kind of gave a little bit of it away. But anyhow, let's go ahead and dive on in. If you have not, I'm going to give you guys like the highlights real fast. Have you used, and drop in the chats, I'd love to know what you use for your presentation. I have been using Canva because I was not brought up in the corporate America space. And so I did not learn PowerPoint except in 1999 when my last year of college. Yes, that's how old I am. So do the math on that one. All that to say, I'd love for you guys to just like share because these resources, when I was here, Karen used a different resource. Everybody is using different resources to present, and they're all really, really important. And if you are presenting, you know the importance of people having their cameras on because in the Zoom world, you feel very, very alone. And so I'm just going to encourage you for the sake of every presenter, everywhere you go, to please leave your cameras on because we see a screen and these little tiny faces. So without ado, clarity, top 3 things right now you need to focus on to level up in 2022, clarity. You have to know what you are going for, okay? And if you are not clear as to what you are aiming for, you're just going to be tossed around like you have been every other year. And if you are tired of being tossed around, you need to grab hold and say like, this is what I want. And I don't care how big that dream is or how many units it is or whatever it is. If you want it, if that desire is in you, you need to like latch onto it and say, that is what I want. Stop fighting it, find clarity, get clear as to where you want to go, who you want to go with. And I'm not going to say why. Soapbox moment for just a moment. Why is a really lame question. And I literally have a book project on like why is not the best question because it's who you are that matters the most. And when you come and when you are clear about who you want to be, your why will fall right in place. Okay. So don't worry about your why. Don't worry about your purpose. Don't worry about that. Discover who you are. And all of that is going to fall into place. So remember, I said I'm going to go fast because I want to dig deep into something. Just say no, okay? I've had to say no to a lot of things. I would love to hear like the most recent thing that you had said no to. But the most important thing, like seriously, drop in the chat real fast, the thing that you said no to within the last 48 hours. I don't care if it was like no to the Twinkie, no to the, second glass of wine, no to like just whatever it was. Oh, no to speaking engagements, maybe. I don't know if that was a no. Yeah, right. Okay, see, we all have to learn to say no and to flex that muscle. And when we were kids, we were taught like, just say yes, like be agreeable, just get along with people, right? And actually, no is being agreeable, okay? It's being in agreement with your clarity that you already found, with your purpose, with your calling, okay? So when you have your clarity, you know what your best yes is. But more importantly, are you saying no to those voices in your head? Don't even like we all have these voices in our head. So, right, it's no to all the doubt, no to the insecurity, no to that thought that says real time, holy crap, I'm not going to make my flight. Right? Just say no. And guess what? Like traveling recently out to Columbus to do due diligence, everything was stacked against me. And everything went wrong, flights canceled, everything was like stacking, going the wrong way. And I just held on to, it's going to work out. It's going to work out. I am saying yes to it's going to work out. I'm saying no to all the thoughts that it's not going to work out. And I am embracing the fact that yes, this is going to work out. And guess what? It's all working out. Okay. But too often we're so focused on all of the negative thoughts that we can't even see the path of opportunity before us. So you have to quiet that no voice, and it's people, and it's mostly the people inside of your own head that you've cultivated throughout your lifetime. So just shut it down. Just like take the red pill, Trim, high five. Like take the red pill, get out of that zone and get going, okay? And that leads into number 3, which I'm going to dive in. I guess I have 4. Like these are the 3 precursors, and then I'm going to give you like some gems, okay? into one specific area. But you must believe. You can have all the clarity that you want. You can say no to those bad things, but if you lose your belief for the path, for the purpose, for the calling that you are going for, if you lose that, nothing matters. And most of us lose that because we have some well-intended, I'm being generous right now, well-intended person in our life that says, oh, you're investing in apartments, huh? Right? And they think like, oh, you're just gonna do this. You're so cute. They're like, good for you, right? We have all these people that are going against, and they don't believe. But it doesn't matter if they believe, because they don't walk in your shoes every day. Excuse me, but they don't sit on the toilet with you every day. They don't drink the water with you every day. They're not living your life. You are living your life. And if you lose that belief as to what your purpose and calling is, those people's voices are going to slip in and they're going to steal your life. You are given something like 800,000, I'm rounding down. It's like there's a specific number of seconds that you are given each day. And they renew every single day. This is not a Julie original. My son, who's 13, showed me this on a YouTube short recently. Like your life renews every single day. Do you want to waste it on believing somebody's doubts about you? Do you want to waste it on believing all these negative narratives that people have about you or they have about life? Like, live your own life. Your life renews every single day by the grace of God. Enjoy it and use it really, really, really well. Okay, like seriously, don't miss a beat. Anybody who knows me knows that I've lost really important people to me, and so the heartbeats are a gift. Use them well. All of that leads to this really important part. Okay, those are like my super like high level. You got to do these three things, and honestly, it's because Jerome, sorry, not Jerome, but Lawrence and I, Mr. International, we were talking the other day about what to title this. And we titled it, I use sticky notes all the time. And I realized that I didn't have a bunch of keys to leveling up. So I'm like, oh gosh, Lawrence, I gotta add some more things. Because this is the only thing I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to talk about reading. I would love to know what the most recent book you finished was. And I'd like everyone to drop that in the, or it could be what you're reading right now. But this is going to be the best book list right here. So drop what you're reading, what you finished, your favorite book, something, but put it in the thread, because what you write in the thread could literally change the trajectory of someone else's path when they pick up that book. Reading is, aside from my faith, reading is hands down like one of the most powerful things, tools that has changed my life over the past 2 years. My faith has been with me for a lifetime. I didn't discover reading until recently. So, oh look, see, I even said drop a book you didn't finish. I should have like followed my slides, right? Who's done that before? So you can also, I'd love to know books that you didn't finish, because sometimes we don't want to finish a book. I'm going to get into that in a little bit more. I'd love to know also if you were a natural reader, because what I hear from so many people is, I'm not a reader. I don't like reading. Okay. And here's the thing, I wasn't a good reader. I became an elementary school teacher. And in that process of teaching kids to read, which is really crazy, I promise the educational system is not trash, I promise. But in the process of teaching kids how to read, that's when I fell in love with reading. I started to understanding it more. And I want to encourage you that if you struggle with reading, there is nothing necessary. Like, yes, there are people that have different things that, you know, like dyslexia and other things that I understand as an educator that make reading challenging. But I promise you, like, you can learn to read. But most people, there's nothing wrong. It's a matter of doing the reps, of reading the words, of reading the pages. Case in point, my 10-year-old daughter, almost 11, she has struggled with reading in a similar way that I did. And her fifth grade teacher turned her on to some books. And now my daughter's reading. And the other night, this slide actually came to me because of a conversation with her, and the realization that reading is no different than anything else that we do in life. It takes practice. And we somehow seem to think that we should just know how to read and that it should come naturally once we learn the ABCs and a little bit of phonics or something. But the reality is, just like building any other muscle in your body, it just takes some reps, it takes some practice. So if reading is something that is a struggle for you, I want to encourage you, don't give up, just put in the reps, be kind to yourself. I also had to learn how to read because I was a writer. And so when you are a good reader, you have to be a good writer. And so that is like a thing, and that put a little bit of pressure on me. So some of the benefits of reading that are going to change your life, right? Like, why, Julie, does reading change your life? It's really critical that we challenge how we think about things. It's really easy. I'm reading a book. I'd grab it, but it'd be awkward right now. I'm reading a book right now by Peter Thiel, the founder of PayPal, way back in the late 90s, right? That's crazy. It was so long ago that PayPal is like, the origins are in the 90s. But I'm reading his book, and it is challenging the way I think about capitalism. It's challenging my ideas on monopoly. It's challenging me in all of these different ways, right? And it's important and critical that we step outside of ourselves and not simply affirm every single thing that we're thinking. That's really not going to support us. We need to find the challenges. This is no different than when we are looking at, when we're out doing our secret shopping, or we're trying to find the good comps. we need to find the comps that are going to challenge our deal that we have. What's the biggest competition, or what's the outlier, or what's going to press in on this? Because when we do that with our investments, it reveals our weaknesses, or it reveals the areas where we get to grow further. And it's no different than our minds. Our minds want to grow. Your mind wants to grow. So be open to the challenge. Don't just pick up books that all are like warm and fuzzy and feel good and are easy to read. Another important element, right, is that a good book is going to expose us to new ideas. It's going to expand our mindsets. I'd love to hear, when I read The Alchemist, has anybody, if you've read The Alchemist, would you just drop a 10 down there or a star, because it's hands down one of the best books on the planet? And I'd love to know, if am I the only one that has read this? I'm seeing the numbers go up. I'm seeing some of you, just a few of you. Okay, if you have not read, oh no, those are like past comments. Okay, has anybody read The Alchemist in here? No, okay, all right, there we go. There are the 10. Okay, yes, okay, listen. That book right there, it took an idea, it's a fable, and it's a hands down must read by everyone. Listen to it with your kids. It's a fantastic fable story, right? That tells a story of somebody discovering their inner purpose and developing the perseverance, the tenacity, the resilience to pursue that purpose in their life, and how that turns out. Okay, so no spoilers there. It's a fable. So well written. But what that book did for me was it allowed me to kind of feel comfortable. I know I just kind of not contradicting myself, I promise, but I felt comfortable with that. But it allowed me to expand within that realm of comfort, actually take my ideas even further. Okay, and so anything that we read that is actually worthwhile shouldn't just leave us feeling warm and comfortable. It should be like taking us to new places. Mindset is super powerful. And I want to stop on that for a moment, because I want to see your cute faces. You guys are awesome. And I was like, I feel alone over here, so I'm going to turn the slides off for a moment and just come say hi and see everybody. But our mindset is absolutely shaped by everything that we are putting into our lives, particularly into our minds. Our minds are these, living things, and we have to feed it well. And so you got to be thinking about, what am I putting into my mind on a daily basis? And you know what? I'm just going to say, I know I have some friends that love to read. I'm not going to call them the trash novels, because I don't think they are. They like just want to escape into a good book. There's nothing wrong with escaping into a really good book and having a great time. But we want to find that balance, and we want to find the challenge as well. And we want to find that level where we can level up. If you have not read, I'm going to give you 2 books right now. Spoiler, you should write them down, because I can't put them in the chat at the moment because I'm talking, and I can't do 2 things at once very well, apparently. So write down High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. And I'm going to tell a story about that here in a moment. But write down that book, and then write down Super Coach, and that's by Michael Neal. And those 2 books take mindset for most people in a really powerful way. Now, I don't actually agree with everything that they say. I don't agree necessarily with the worldview of one of the authors, but what I grew and how it changed my mindset, how it challenged me and expanded my mind, and not just me, but so many other people. I know it's not unique to me. So I want to encourage you to pick those 2 books up if you haven't already. But more importantly, we all like to know what is within us. So I'd love to know a mindset book, and it might actually be a comic book or a graphic novel, as they're called. There are lots of ways that we can learn. So something that impacted your life and just gave you that little mindset shift. It just nudged you over a little bit and gave you that aha. It could even, well, we're talking about books, so I was going to say, even YouTube Shorts. My son's YouTube Shorts. He gives me all sorts of really great insights all the time. All right. So a good book does affirm our thoughts. A lot of times we can feel like we're swimming upstream, especially when we are in a pool like the multifamily niche. it seems like there are like everybody's involved, but that's just because we're involved and it's new car syndrome and we're seeing everybody else around us. But in reality, as we talk to our friends and family, so many people don't know about this asset class. They don't know what they can do with this investment vehicle. And so really, we're fish swimming upstream a lot of the time. And a good book is going to actually affirm our thoughts. When we're feeling alone, sometimes it's nice to have, like, isn't it nice to have a friend that comes up to you and your friend's like, hey, I've got you. I have a friend that has COVID right now. She lives in Denver. I wish I could just go and like take her soup, right? So sometimes a good book can just be that for you. It can be that, hey, you're not alone. You know, hey, you're not the only person that thinks this. You're not some weirdo. You're not some lunatic out there. Like, no, other people think this, and they think it so much so that it's bound in books. And sometimes when we're feeling alone, it's really reassuring to know that we're really not. And let me tell you, as somebody who used to be part of a book club or a writers guild and supported a lot of books being launched, if a publisher is going to publish a book, like an actual publisher is publishing a book, there are a lot of people thinking about it because it takes a lot of work to actually get a book published. So, you know, you're definitely 1,000,000% not alone if a book is actually published and you are reading it. They put a lot of money into that, a ton. All right. So I'd love to hear, and we're going to do this in a really different way, maybe than some meetups are, but I'd love to hear how reading has influenced your past. And just think about that for a brief moment. Like, was there a book or a time? Was it a recommendation from someone? High Performance Habits was a recommendation from someone to me for an entire year. Whole year. Where would my life have been if I would have picked that book up at the beginning of that year? I have no idea. I'm grateful I picked it up when I did, but there's some book along the way, more than likely. And by the way, I should say audiobooks do count. Okay, so don't ever beat yourself up if you're listening to audiobooks. So, but like, I would love to hear people, like, please feel free, unmute yourself if you'd like to share how a book changed your life or influenced you. I love Jessica's, like, The Big Leap. Yeah, James, tell us.
Well, I wish I would have read it 20 years ago, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad changed my direction totally. It got me into the value and power of multiple streams of income. It opened my eyes to taking control of my own money and, you know, just getting me where I am today, you know, in real estate. So I attribute it wholly to Robert Kiyosaki.
That's awesome. Thank you. If Rich Dad Poor Dad was yours, just put Purple Bible down in the comments. If that was like one of those fork in the road books for your life, like, just put Purple Book down in the comments, because that book, just imagine, Kiyosaki followed his purpose, right? And if you don't think that he didn't face resistance, like what's written about in Turning Pro, if you don't think he faced resistance, like, really, seriously, come on. Kiyosaki faced resistance in writing that book and publishing a book of that nature, especially when it came about. That's huge, okay? But he persevered, and because he persevered, he had clarity, he stuck with it, he believed, and now look at all these lives that are influenced. You are no different. When you follow your path, your life will have this powerful ripple effect in the world. And I can't even imagine how many lives your life can reach just by you being dedicated. Daryl, I'd love to hear, what book do you have what's your story on the book?
The book that changed my life was the autobiography of Frederick Douglass. To see the trial and tribulation that he went through, the struggles that he went through, and compare it to today. And if you look at what he had accomplished, because in real estate and investing, yeah, that book changed my life. That made me take a look at a lot of things differently. It was as if, when I was reading that book, it was as if he was talking directly to me.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. Daryl, there are so many biographies out there on Frederick Douglass. If you don't mind, would you drop a link to the one that you read that impacted you? If you have a chance, that would be absolutely amazing.
All right, I have to find
Right.
it, but
Yeah, no, if you can, and maybe we can read it out. Is it? I don't know. I don't want to skip anyone that has a book that they want to share. Do we have anyone else that is like, I got to share this?
Well, I want to share a book. This didn't change. It changed my life last year. The who can do the how, right? And that was
Not how.
Who not how. And
very good.
I got that book in a breakout. Somebody recommended me that book in a breakout room at a book club, right? And I got that book and it changed my whole thinking about, because I was the kind of guy, I got it, I can do it by myself. And that's when I was just starting the meetup, and it wasn't working out too well. That changed. Things do.
All right. So one book, again, if you're not a reader, you don't have to be a quote reader. I never caught up with some of my friends that were voracious readers or anything like that. It's not about that. It's not about quantity. It's about what is it going to do in your life? How is it going to influence the trajectory of your life? Is it going to help, catapult you? Is it going to shift your thinking that 1 degree that's going to take you where you need and want to go? That's what it's about, right? All right. So let's go ahead and dive back in. I just want to thank everybody for sharing. So I know that it's kind of a different format, but I appreciate you guys participating. These are some of the books right here that we read last year. And I'm going to tell that story in just a little bit. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into how to choose your next book. Sometimes we get confused. There are so many good books out there. Everybody is talking about all these books that are available. And it's like, how do I even choose? Like literally right now, my computer is propped up. It really is propped up on books, which is really funny. I'm like in this hotel and I have like, a bunch of books that it's propped up on. Okay. So, there are books that we can get everywhere all the time. But here's some ways to kind of vet your book. We vet our deals very carefully, right? We look at the underwriting. We're like, what are your assumptions? What are you doing with rents? What's your exit cap rate? We're looking at all of those. Let's go into vet our book a little bit. So here are 3 things as you're choosing your next book. You can choose something that is going to challenge you to fill in the gaps in your life, right? Because we all have those. And so a book can just like be the icing on the cake that just kind of comes in and fills in the little deficiencies, right? So it looks all beautiful, but it actually fills it in. Okay, so a book can fill in your limitations, which is really great. It can help you develop a new skill. I do not have a strong background in economics. That's just a fact. And so now I'm reading some books that are helping expand my mind specifically in that area. So we can learn new skills and cultivate those. And if you have a good economics book recommendation, please drop it in the chat because this girl needs it, okay? And then also, what do we need further insight into? Maybe we can see that there's something beyond what we're seeing, but we're not quite sure. It's foggy. So we can find a book on that topic, right? So 3 ways to choose your next book. Now, how do you find it? It's like, okay, well, I know what kind of book I'm looking for. It's almost like dating or trying to find a new car. It's like, well, I know I want an SUV and I know I want to have this, but how do I actually find it? All right, so groups like this are one of the best ways to find your very next book. Recommendations are my #1 favorite way to find my next best book. True story. Yesterday, when my flight was canceled and delayed, it was literally canceled, but they got me into a different flight like 6 hours later. I ended up at a coffee shop that I really like, and I happened to see somebody sitting across the room. It was a very quiet morning at the coffee shop because it was so early, and I noticed that person had a book, and so I just approached the person. I'm like, "Hey, what book are you reading?" Okay, so talking with people about what they're reading, asking people what they're reading, asking how it influenced and impacted their life, those recommendations are super powerful. So listen to people, ask that question and listen. I always vet a book by recommendations. I just do. There are so many books to choose from out there, and those recommendations are just right at your fingertips. So, if it has 2 stars, I'm probably not gonna look at it. But if it has, 3 stars, but 6 million reviews, I'm gonna give it a thought and look through some of those reviews. I don't have very much time to read, so I'm very careful, and I'm gonna take the book that's vetted by somebody. I'm gonna look at the reviews to make sure it's in alignment with what I am trying to find as well. And then you can also go to julieholly.com. I have a book list. It's really cool. I change it up. I don't actually change it. I just continually add to this book list. So if you want to go to julieholly.com, I have a book list that's pretty curated and pretty awesome. It's books that I've already read, and it's books that I want to read, and it includes a kid's book list as well. And I'll tell you what, you can learn so much from kids' books, so don't take those for granted. Like, you might actually, I literally tear up at some of these kids' books on what to do with a problem. If you have not read What to Do with a Problem, just go pick it up, buy it, put it in your Amazon cart, because it will totally encourage you. All right, a lot of you, okay, let's just be honest. Who hasn't finished a book before? Like, if you haven't finished a book, I don't even care. Just put something in the comments to let me know, because I have not finished books. I could probably count all the books I haven't finished. And there are a lot of reasons why we don't finish books. Sometimes we lose interest, okay? But really, when it comes down to it, yeah, like, so many unfinished books. It's a problem. And so it's actually, wait, let me reframe that. It's actually not a problem. And there is a time to not finish books for sure, okay? And I want to encourage you that if you have some unfinished books, it might mean you have some unfinished business with you, okay? Because sometimes those books are pushing us into our discomfort. And we're like, ew, I don't want to have to deal with that. That causes my brain to sweat, and it causes my heart to hurt a little bit. So just like, go sit on the shelf, right? We put the book in timeout, when really, in reality, we need to take that book and say, ooh, you're making my brain sweat, and that really is painful. And this is really hard on my heart, because that was like so relevant, and I think I need to grow, right? So you need to reevaluate why you're maybe not finishing that book. But here's how to finish your next book, because it's a great strategy to have, right? I'm pausing because I've heard this so many times. People are like, oh, I started to read that book, but it was like, I already knew it. Okay, come on. We have all done that, right? We are like, we pick up these books, and we're like, the first couple of chapters, we're like, yeah, what else is new? And so sometimes, because it's so familiar and the content is so familiar, we just kind of glossed over it, and we're like, oh, we already know it. But guess what? That's really great. That's when you take the part and you say, like, oh, that affirms. I do know something. This is affirming what I already know. That feels really great, but I kind of like to get further. More than likely, the gem that you need is towards the end of the book. And you're missing it because maybe there's a little ego. I know Lawrence and I both love Ryan Holiday's book. So maybe there's a little ego as the enemy going on, right? And you just need to just scoot your ego aside maybe and say, what else? If this book was recommended by somebody, and if I vetted it with some reviews as well, what am I missing here? Maybe there's something more. Okay, so I really want to encourage you, because I hear this quite often. Okay, break down the reading into how many pages do you need to read in each day. I'm going to give you a total awesome tip. And this is because I run a book club, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But and it's really awesome, and you should be part of it. But you need to look at how many pages do I need to read in a day. If you read 10 pages for only 10 pages for 5 days, Monday through Friday, 10 pages, in 5 weeks, you'll finish a book. That means you get weekends off. Okay, so you can just relax on the weekends, but you only have to read for 5 days, 10 pages. In 5 weeks, you will be done with almost any book that you pick up. Okay. So if you want to figure out, just whatever book it is that you're reading, just look at the total number of pages, divide it by the number of days you want to read, right? Just do the math on it and you can break it down. Make it into something that is obtainable for you. Don't make it a chore. Make it something, just like when we're training for a marathon, we don't run a full marathon on the first day of training. We build up to it. So just pace it out. It's okay. But as long as you're reading consistently, it's going to really show up in your life in powerful ways. All right. So I think I kind of touched on all of this. And here's the cool part. You should join a book club. I happen to host a really, really phenomenal book club. Many of you have been part of that book club at some point or another. And this book club came about because of Lawrence. So now I'm going to get all teary-eyed. Like, apparently I get emotional when I'm in Columbus or something. But but I did not set out to have a book club, you guys. I had that book that was recommended to me for an entire year by my high performance coach. And he encouraged me to read this book. And he just would encourage me to read that book. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't know. It kind of looks like this thick, and that seems like way too thick for me. And I'm just not that kind of person. And so I decided before 2021, this is at the end of 2020, December of 2020, I made a decision, right? I found clarity. And I said, I want something different. I want to level up and take myself to the next level as a person, as a wife, as a mom, as a community member, as an investor, as a podcaster, as everything. I'm like, I see there's more in me and I want it. And I need some support on how to do it. But I just don't have much drive to continually read. I should say I didn't at that point. And so I thought, I'm going to invite outside accountability because I like to please people more than I like to please myself. And if that's you and you're really honest, you should just give me like some type of high five or something, chat, little, reaction or something, because guess what? Most of us, if we're really honest with ourselves, are willing to work harder for someone else, and we're willing to show up better because people are expecting it. Okay. So I leveraged myself against myself, and it worked out really well. And that's a great strategy to use, by the way. Like those little things don't have to be bad. You can use them to accomplish really powerful things in your life. I decided to start a virtual book club and an in-person book club because I'm like, apparently I need double accountability. And I said, this is just a one-time thing. And at the end of that book club, Mr. International said, hey, Julie, what's the next book? And I said, one. This is just a one book club. This is it. I wasn't like, I've never run a book club before. This is just like supposed to be a one thing. And other people chimed in. You asked again, Lawrence. You said, so, hey, Julie, what's the next book? And I already knew what my next books were. I had already had an idea of what I wanted to read throughout the year. And I thought, well, this has been so much fun and these people are amazing. And reading in community is actually changing my life because I'm able to talk with people about what I'm reading. It's not just reading and putting it into my own head and expanding my brain, but now I'm able to actually talk about the same material with other people who are reading it. And it's taking my thoughts and my visions and everything so much bigger. So last year we read a total of 8 books, which is a total of 40 weeks of reading. So imagine 10 pages a day, guys. That's it. 10 pages a day. You get 40 weeks of reading because I stopped right before Thanksgiving. So there's so much that can be gained. I am honestly, Lawrence, I am like so indebted to you for asking that question because honestly, that was a fork in the road moment for me. I wasn't continually reading alone. Now I was continuing to read in community and cultivating relationships. So the 5-week book-in networking club actually became this thing, and which is really exciting. And that's really interesting dynamic to it is that, you know, sometimes we go to a meetup and it's so focused on growing our investments that those relationships, in the book club, now we're able to dial things back, and we're not talking business, we're talking philosophy. Now we're talking ideas. Now we're talking creatively. And all of those things are paramount to having a successful syndication, to having a successful business. If you cannot collaborate and communicate and think in creative ways, right, and expand ideas and do that within community, it's going to be very challenging. So by nature of the 5-week book and networking club, you're able to practice that skill, but more importantly, you're able to develop meaningful relationships with other people that transcend business. Spoiler, a whole lot of business came out of that group last year. Not necessarily for me, but I just kept seeing people doing different things because I knew people on a different level. Okay. So I love being in meetup groups, especially this group, because the energy here is phenomenal. Like Lawrence, you just bring, like, you just draw people. Like, you guys are all just so absolutely amazing. Okay. So I've enjoyed being here. And then going into something like a book club, it allows you to take these relationships in a different direction. And I want to encourage you, it doesn't have to be Julie Holly's book club. Okay. You can have your own book club. It's like, I don't want a license on this. This is like, it was my idea. And now, like, it's everyone's idea, because our ideas are meant to be shared. And what we have in life is not meant to be kept and held hostage. It's meant to be given and shared so that it can be a powerful ripple effect in so many more lives besides ours and the limited people that we're around. So I want to encourage you to, you know, if you want to be part of the book club, head over to julieholly.com and check it out. And then if you want to start a book club, please, like, shoot me a message and let me know. I will absolutely 1,000,000% support you in that endeavor. So the bottom line of this is believe in yourself. Know what you want in your life. Quiet all the naysayers. I have an image in my own mind of these people in this peanut gallery, you know, just kind of tossing the tomatoes or tossing the peanuts. Like, just quiet them. Remember, they're not in the bathroom with you. They're not walking in their shoes. They're not doing any of that. Okay. Like, just, they don't have to live your life. You have to wake up with you. And you are the one person that you spend the most time with of anyone else on the planet. Your whole entire life is spent with yourself. So get to know yourself so that you can believe in yourself. Read a lot, read voraciously, and go get that book list and share books with other people. That's what I got for y'all. Lawrence, thank you. So grateful.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Julie. A lot of tips. Hope everybody, I got 2 pages of notes here. Right? Do anybody, if there's any questions, Julie, you're gonna take some questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody has a question does someone has a question for Julie? Okay, I got a question. Let me look first before. So
I got questions.
Yeah,
Hold on,
Jerome.
I got a question.
Yeah, Jerome.
Oh, Jerome. I'm so happy to see you.
Thanks. I'm good to see you too, Julie. It's the first time this year. So it's interesting. Lawrence has that gift of challenging people to go to that next level, right? And so when he asked you the question, I know kind of your personality. I believe you, like, who, me? Yeah, no, that's not for me. That's for somebody else. And so what happened where you said, wait, this is for me. This is what I should do. I am gifted in this space.
Wow, thanks, Jerome. You know what happened was, again, a lot of us have a tendency to show up in a bigger way for other people. And a lot of us, I think, especially in the syndication space, a lot of us actually want to advocate for other people, right? A lot of us are investing because we want to have, you know, solid returns for our investors. We want to take care of residents in a community, right? A lot of us have these huge hearts. And for me, Jerome, it was, wow, this was a thing that actually really provided this bridge in so many lives. I heard people say, that was the first book I finished in a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so much positive feedback that I could see that it wasn't about Julie, it was about serving and supporting other people. And that position of service helped me rise up. And then I actually gained the momentum and went through the whole entire imposter syndrome. I think for the first long time, I didn't tell anybody that I'd never participated in a book club before. And at any point. And so I'm like, I don't know how this is supposed to go. And I don't know if I'm doing it right, but apparently it was right because people were being served by it. So over time, I grew into the more like, hey, I actually identify now with this. But yeah, that's a great question. Thank you.
I like that. That you know, Julie, I like that. That's the truth. It's that you just gave, you started giving, and people were getting so much value of it and became fun to you. Right? It became fun, it was a task. So I remember Julie beginning the book club. Remember that day. Was this the last book? I said, no, what happened next book? What's the next book? Remember that clearly.
Oh, yeah, it's clear as day for me as well. And by the way, I have Ryan Holiday, which was the second book, The Obstacle is the Way. If you have not read that book, pick it up immediately. Like, go to Amazon, go pick up Obstacle is the Way, because it's so foundational. But then I have Stillness is a Key right below my computer right now. Such a good book.
Lawrence went through the same thing with this meetup. So I just thought it was really cool how he started the thing, and then he got you to start the thing, and it's just this ripple effect. It's really exciting. Sorry.
Thank you, Jerome.
And Jerome, okay, hold on. I'm just going to say it, but doesn't that even go back to like you? And you're not trying to do this, but I'm saying like you support people in a way that allows us to ripple. Like, so every single person here has this ripple effect. Whether you want to believe that about yourself or not, we all have this ripple effect, and we get to decide how we use that ripple effect. So Jerome has this powerful ripple effect. You've been a wonderful influence in my life, Jerome. I'm so grateful for you. You have this influence that influenced Lawrence, right? There's another ripple. And Lawrence is absolutely amazing. And he has this ripple into my life. And where is this next ripple going to come from? Like, we don't want the ripples to stop.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody have any more questions? Okay, so now that we have no more questions, like, everybody, please put your cameras on if you can. Come on, Bethany, put your camera on, Bethany. Jerome, Jerry, Cinto, Barbara, Gliddy D. That's right, put your best face on. There you go. That's right, that's right. That's right, Jessica. Get your hair together. Let me get mine together too. Make sure I straighten mine up.
Hey, girls, permission grant. Peely Yersey, I just have to give a spoiler that she's fantastic, and like, she'll go like this. If you go on her podcast, she'll like start playing with her hair ladies, and she's like, I do this to give everybody permission that it's okay to do that.
Okay. Lee, you looking at this way, man? There you go. Cinto.
Hush, you missed the spot.
Everybody look at the camera and smile. 1, 2, 3. You missed the side. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to say, Julie, thank you very much for coming on to Financial Independence through small multifamily investing. I appreciate you taking time from your schedule, because I know you've been very busy.